right, I'm doing my first flight. Welcome back, by the way. My first flight in an A380, which is the fly-by-wire model, which I'm flying in Flight Simulator, or Microsoft Flight Simulator, I should say, 2020. Um, it's a great bit of kit by Fly-by-Wire, but I just wanted to take you through a few bits. If you're used to flying the A320 and you're thinking of taking the step up to the A380, but you're a bit scared, I can't blame you. There's a whole bunch of videos on how to actually start this thing up and get it going. I haven't done one yet. I will do one for you, but there are some good ones out there. Shouldn't be encouraging you to watch other channels, should I? But anyway, go and find yourself a few videos on that. I'll do one, and I'll do a better one, I promise, than some of those others out there. But there are honestly some really very, very good ones. Personally, I watched one by Jonathan Beckett to go through his process. His procedure was a little messy in places, but it's right in the end. I do have my own procedure document that I will share with you as well when I do that video. But just a quick highlight on some of the big differences. So this is just a short video today. So if you're flying an A320, here are the big differences. So largely, the great thing about the Airbus 380 is it's built on the same principles, the same general processes and procedures. The cockpit's really similar. Obviously, it's a huge beast of a machine compared to an A320. In fact, when I was taxiing out of Heathrow a few hours ago, by the way, I'm over Canada. I'm doing a flight from Heathrow to Dulles, Washington DC today. So we've been at it for a fair few hours already, all the way across the Atlantic and just over northern Canada at the moment. Anyway, without getting too distracted, on the taxiways in Heathrow, yeah, the A320s that were going past me were like a third of the size of this beast, and I was having to be very careful on the taxiways not to clip buildings on the way past. It's an absolute monster of a plane. So obviously there's some differences in that respect. But if you're familiar with an A320, if you have a look around the cabin, as is typical in fly-by-wire, you've got the iPad here with the normal setup you'd expect. You can import from SimBrief. You can do all the ground services. It's exactly the same as the A320. I will say here, though, that I used GSX. I tend to use GSX with my 320 flights. It works really, really well. I had a big problem here, which was that GSX automatically went ahead, did a bunch of stuff, opened a door at the back of the plane. There didn't seem to be a way to shut that door. There is no button on the EFB to shut the absolute rear left door that I could find. And I did do some searching. I did ask in Discord. I asked a whole bunch of questions. Didn't seem to be possible to shut that door. So I would suggest if you're using GSX, you may need to disable it until that problem is fixed. Because ultimately that meant I couldn't do my flight. I'd done all my prep for about an hour, and I basically had to just cancel the flight, which is very frustrating. But there we go. So be careful with that one. But otherwise, everything works as you'd expect. It's just GSX that didn't sync nicely with this. You may be able to get a profile or something to fix that, but I wasn't aware of it before this first flight. So I hope that'll help you. Your side stick on the left here operates as you'd expect. I have the Airbus side stick. It just works. My rudder pedals, I have the Cytec rudder pedals. They work. They've got this nice little feature here where you can drop those down to guard your feet. Doesn't really drop something down under my desk, so it doesn't make a hell of a difference, but there you go. It's quite nice. They do have, as I'm going left to right here, let's have a look. They do also have some of these little blinds you can pop out as well. There's quite a few of those hidden around. If I grab this one up here, I can bring that one down. If I grab this one up here, I can bring this one down. So there's a lot of these nice little features that they've built in, which is very good quality. You've got your PFD and your ND. Bigger, you get these hover touchscreen elements to them. You've got a view of your ground, your speed brakes here. We don't have anything on at the moment, but if you have speed brakes on or if you have flaps on, you'll get an indication of that on here, which is really helpful. Otherwise, the PFD is exactly the same as the A320, really, which is brilliant. ND, again, you'll get a view here down the bottom of the altitude that you're at. So it'll show you climbing. We're cruise at the moment, so it's level, but it'll show you climbing, descending, etc., which again is great. You can zoom in and out of that with all the usual buttons. As you may have seen from one of my other videos, I have recently got the WinWing EFIS and FCU It doesn't work 100% with this, but it does work most of the way. The vast majority of the buttons work. Autopilot, all the constraints and waypoints, the range, the nav arc plan, the adjustments for altitude, heading, speed, etc. All of that works as you'd expect. It seems that everything works except the problem I've had an issue with is the QNH, which for whatever reason, if I just bring it up on here, pressing the button doesn't do anything, and if I move it up, it goes up in threes, as you can see there, which is unhelpful. So we're going to just have to put that back onto standard here. So not ideal that. It does though when you make that change sync both captain side and first officer side. I don't know if you saw that. If I change that there, it syncs both at the same time, which is quite nice. So other than a few sort of design elements there, that doesn't work really any differently, which is fantastic. We have thrusts here. I have the Thrustmaster Airbus controls. There's 4 engines on the Airbus, but you can map your 2 thrusts for the first one to control engines 1 and 2, and the other one to control engines 3 and 4. So that's really nice and easy. I haven't got my engine buttons working yet. I'm sure you can, but I haven't got that working. The ignition and engine setting is not down here next to the engines. It's up in the overheads on an A380. So here it is. So that's a minor thing that's different there. The big difference really is the MCDU, which is this big touchscreen thing. It works quite differently. Now, all the information you put in is largely the same. You've got an init page. You're pulling things in through your company flight plan. It's a little bit different. As I say, I can do a video for you, but feel free to go and have a look at the A380 videos that are out there. And on the perf screen, you've got the tabs for the stage you're at. So you're entering your approach data in here, for example, wind, outside air temperature, QNH, baro height, transition levels, all that good stuff. And it's highlighted to show you which one you're on. If you're on a flight plan, you're making changes, you can actually tap on the item, you can delete it, you can tell it to go directly to it from here, you can put a hold in there. So it's all these menus that come up from the touchscreen, which is really nice. So that's a little bit different. Other than that, you've got your top ECAM, your lower ECAM. They're a different size, these screens, but they are largely doing the same thing. You have an incredible BTV. Go and look that one up. That enables you to zoom in on the actual airport on your ND, look at the runway, look at the point where you're likely to want to exit the runway, and set the air brakes to slow the plane down at the exit point that you want to exit at, which is absolutely incredible. So rather than say, "Oh, look, medium auto brakes, high auto brakes," you just say, "Look, I want to come off here at A3, so slow me down for that," and it will brake the plane automatically to stop at that point, which is just incredible. So you've got your normal gear over here, you've got chronometers, all the usual bits and pieces you'd expect. You have the LS, you have the lock, you have the approach, all those things again that you'd expect there. No real big surprises. The range goes up to 640 rather than 320 because you're doing longer flights, of course. Your overhead, we pop up here quickly. Your overhead here has your ADIRs up the top left. It has your lights, as you'd expect, down the bottom here. You've got your cool buttons, your wipers, your oxygen. You have not the same number of fuel pumps. You have 18 fuel pumps in this baby. So these will all be lit up for you to press. And you can spend 4 hours pressing those. You've got 4 batteries to start up. You've got a couple of different external powers to start up. So there's just a lot more of the things to do. It's very, very cool. The other thing to note is that down on the panels down here, your radio panel is to adjust, you need to type it in. So you put the number in and you select, and then it's in there, and you can swap it over by pushing this button here. Of course, you need your button to speak over here, lit up, for example, if you're going to be talking on that frequency. Now, that does mean I have a Cytec radio panel which has a dial to change the numbers. That simply doesn't work. I can press the button on that Cytec radio panel to switch between frequencies, but I can't change the frequencies with that panel because it's a numpad, not a dial, and the panel has a dial, not a numpad. So, so there's a couple of things that don't work. The other thing to say is, of course, because, as we said, the MCDU, which I have from WinWing, is an A320 MCDU, that simply doesn't function here it doesn't work at all. Certainly from what I've experienced, if you know any different, please let me know. But that doesn't seem to function at all. So there's a little problem with the QNH. I may be able to fix that. This is my first flight, so I'm just telling you what I know at this point. The QNH on the Windwing EFIS doesn't quite work as I'd expect. The MCDU from Windwing doesn't seem to work at all. And the Cytec radio panel doesn't work because it's a dial, not buttons. But those are minor things. Taxiing this is a beast. It is hard work. Not too hard, but it takes a bit of getting used to compared to the 320. Very slow, very heavy in the turn. But takeoff is as you'd expect. It flies along the runway surprisingly for its speed. Does a phenomenal job. And I've had no issues no serious issues other than that GSX issue at the beginning with the doors, which made me restart the flight. So look, if you're thinking of giving this a go, like I say, I will do a full cold and dark startup procedure for it, and probably a landing procedure as well. Once I've got more familiar with it. As I say, it's my first flight, so I don't want to try and teach you something before I know what I'm doing. But by all means, do go and watch some other videos, and then just jump in, give it a go. I've gone for my first flight straight away on VATSIM, which is crazy, but why the hell not, right? So it's only a game. So I hope that's been useful for you. If you're thinking about having a go at the A380, don't be afraid. As I say, watch a couple of videos, spend maybe a couple of hours just watching a few things, get yourself familiar with it, write down a few notes, and then just jump in and give it a go. We all learn by getting things wrong, right? So good luck with it. I hope you enjoy it. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.